All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, I was going to do something else today that was on the shorter side and then tack this story that I'm going to tell on the end. And then the more time that went on, I think this story deserves its own little video. So, I got a quick story for you guys. Quick Friday story. So 2 days ago, on Wednesday of this week, a man named Terry Pearson of Brooklyn, New York, wakes up and starts to get ready for work. Terry is a very thin man, probably in his 50s, and he's got a amazing Western movie worthy mustache, big, thick thing, and he's got long hair. And his hairline doesn't start until about midway back. But once it does start, it's very notable hair. It's long, like blondish gray hair. He's got a little gold earring. And he puts on his button-up plaid shirt and his Levi's jeans. He attaches his big keychain to the side belt loop of his jeans. And he heads to work. While he is at work, the FBI is transporting a man named Johnny Soto to the jail in Brooklyn where Ghislaine Maxwell is being held. I did a video about it. I'll try to remember to put it in the description. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out the video. I'm standing across the street doing my Ghislaine Maxwell video. Hey, everybody, here's the jail. And the inmates can see me, I guess, and they start yelling at me, and you can hear them, and it sounds like the end of the world, and it's just a totally horrible, depressing place. So the FBI is transporting Johnny Soto to that jail. I think it's called the MDC. And Johnny was arrested for allegedly stealing a car in August on Long Island. And on Wednesday, they located him. He gave the cops a hell of a chase on foot. They finally got him, and then when they got him, he had a stolen .38 on him, a stolen gun on his possession. And there's a Bill Burr joke about that that's hilarious. It's like, why would you do that in New York? That's, 10 years right there. Just don't carry the gun. Like, I think the bit is you always have to have one friend that is like, hey, listen, don't bring that around. That's not a good idea. But anyway, Soto had a stolen .38 on him with the serial number totally scratched out, and he's arrested. And so they're transporting him, like I said, to the jail in Brooklyn. Famous right now because Ghislaine is there. Well, pretty unbelievably, somehow on the way to the jail, Eric slips the federal custody. Who's Eric? Johnny slips the federal custody. They didn't give too many details on how he did it. Probably their egos were a little bit bruised. Like, how do you let a guy that's in shackles and handcuffs get away? You're supposed to be the FBI, remember? But it sounds like he jumped out of the moving car. Just went full, I'm out of here, baby. See you in hell. Woo! Jumped out of the car, and then, as you can imagine, all hell broke loose. He gives them another foot chase. He loses them. Now he's just running through neighborhoods in Brooklyn, shackled, handcuffed, wearing the jail outfit. Obviously, the people in the Brooklyn neighborhood immediately hear about it through the news and social media, and a lot of them look out their window and see him. It's like you see it on the news, like, oh my gosh, this is happening in our neighborhood, and then sure enough, you look out the window, and Soto is pathetically and half-ass running with his shackles. One woman, like they said, ran out with a meat cleaver and was like, get out of here, get out, go. And so Johnny Soto, you got to think, is in a full panic, just trying to get somewhere where there's not a woman with a meat cleaver and people staring at him, like, that's the guy. Look it, that's him. And so he is desperately trying to find somewhere to duck in, and eventually he finds, whether it was an open door or an unlocked door or an open window or whatever it was, he finds an apartment. And it doesn't look like anyone is in it. And so you got to think now he's probably just sitting on, on the TV chair watching the news of the police, which are going in and out of all the apartments in the neighborhood, and everybody's got their doors open, trying to find this guy. Well, the apartment that he happened to find was Terry Pearson's. And Terry Pearson is on his way home. So after 3 hours of hanging out, like I said, all shackled up, probably watching the news of his own chase and everything, Terry Pearson gets home from work, making Johnny Soto, who's just been in his apartment for approximately 3 hours now, he has to find a hiding place, and he's got to find it quick. And what he decides to do is, Terry's apartment is small, like a lot of Brooklyn apartments, and it's a little cluttered. And he's got his TV chair right here, and maybe a foot or two behind his TV chair, there's a table that has had looks like there's some board games on it, and then there's a dust cover, like a blue sheet over that. It's like one of those things that Terry should probably get rid of it, and it would just make the whole apartment feel a little bit better than having the table with the nonsense on it covered with the blue sheet. But, that's just the way it is. And so Johnny Soto decides that really probably the only good place is under the blue sheet, the dust cover with the table and board games. And so you got to think old Terry Schmidt with his long, blonde, grayish hair blowing in the wind, takes his keychain off his Levi's belt loop, goes into his apartment, puts his stuff down. He's home after a long day, has no idea John. Gee, I know where Eric Soto was one of my childhood best friends. That's why I keep saying that. Johnny Soto. Johnny Soto is sitting under the dust cover, just going, oh no, shackled. And so Terry gets home and sits in his chair, and he turns on the TV, and he starts watching the coverage of the escaped prisoner that's happening in his neighborhood, all while the guy is sitting less than 5 feet behind him under a blue sheet. So you just picture him sitting there going, wow, this is crazy. And Johnny under the sheet probably going like, oh my, his heart had to have been just thumping, like hiking boots in a dryer. Probably worried, like, is he going to hear my heart? Imagine how hard it would have been to control your bleeding. Control your breathing. And also, it's like a sweaty butts time of year here in New York. I'm sure he was sitting on there just melting in sweat. And Terry says he gets up to pour himself a little scotch, and he looks over, and there's a weird lump on the sheet, the dust cover. There's a strange shape. And he looks at the TV, and he looks back at the lump, and he slowly makes his way over, and he lifts up the dust cover, and there's a face staring back at him. And in true comedy movie fashion, Terry runs out screaming the front door. Terry runs out screaming the back door. Johnny runs out screaming the front door. The cops pick him up. The news comes. Terry is being interviewed on his front deck porch thing, and the interviewer says something like, so, how terrified were you? And Terry, with his giant mustache, the star of the show, and his long, stringy hair blowing, he holds up a glass of scotch and says, "Two fingers of the good stuff, terrified," or something like that. And that's the end. And I was thinking, hopefully he's not too traumatized. That's unbelievably scary to be sitting there watching TV with the guy sitting next to you under a blue sheet. But hopefully he's not too traumatized, because he really comes off as a funny, good guy in the interview. I'll put the link in the description. Yeah, I might try get that other video off this afternoon. It requires a little bit of walking around, but don't get furious at me if it doesn't happen. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Why? Stiving why.